evening, everyone. Welcome back to Horsepower Obsessed. My name is Justin, and today we're going to talk about the C8 Corvette Z06 and some of the specs that were recently leaked. Alright guys, it's been a little while since I've put out some C8 news because I've been playing with some real C8 Corvettes in person. So it's been a little bit since I've taken a gander at some of the recent news coming out for the C8 Corvette, specifically the C8 Z06. But whenever I took a look at it, I noticed there was some information that had supposedly leaked from a couple different sources that was put together in a nice little list. Now, this particular list really looks familiar to me because they did a very similar one for the base C8 Corvette about 6 months before it actually came out. All of that information that was on that list ended up being 100% accurate. So whenever I see this, I immediately think the same thing. This is likely legit news, and it's likely to be 100% what we actually get when the car comes out. Now, for those of you who don't know, the C8 Corvette manufacturing plant has been shut down due to what's happening in the world right now, and because of that, a lot of the C8 Corvette orders are speculated to be moved to a 2021 instead of a 2020. Now, GM has not been overly forthcoming with this information. They have told us that basically as long as you had your order in by March 18th, that you would still get a 2020. But now there's rumors leaking out there that Chevy is falling way behind on this, and they're actually bumping all of their cars, not just the C8 Corvette, but anything from this point forward to a 2021, and that even if you had your order put in before March 18th for a 2020 C8 Corvette, it's still going to get bumped to a 2021 now. With that said, there's also rumors and information coming out that GM is bumping all of their performance models of the C8 Corvette up 1 year. So initially the Z06 was speculated to come out around 2021, but now with everything getting pushed back, what seems like at least a model year, now the Z06 is rumored to be a 2022 model. But anyway, let's talk about what is on this document. What specs does this document specifically talk about? And it starts off with a group that says what it is. It says it's the first of several upcoming ultra high performance variants of the C8 Corvette. It's a return to the stripped down for action, high revving, track-worthy vet, embodied by the 505 horsepower 7.0 liter V8 powered C6 Z06 of 2006 through 2013. So right there, for those of you who don't know, the C6 was exactly what this says here. It was really stripped down to get that car to the lowest possible weight while jamming a huge naturally aspirated engine into the car to really just put that thing over the top. The C6 Z06 was really the car that started the crazy performance for these Corvettes, in my opinion. All right, guys, so we're going to take a break from the action real quick to mention today's sponsor, and it is going to be Ridge Wallet. I've talked about them a couple times before, guys, but if you look at it, it's a real nice carbon fiber updated wallet. Allows you to carry your cash on the back with the money clip or a money band that will hold it, as well as hold up to 12 of your cards. As guys, we typically carry a bunch of crap in our wallet that we don't really need, and this really helps eliminate the mess. Now, this will hold your debit cards, credit cards, and even your identification, your driver's licenses, things like that. If you're interested in something like this, guys, definitely check out the description down below. I will put the 10% off coupon down there. You can save some money on these just for being a horsepower obsessed fan. And next, it goes on to why it matters. They say the Z06's new V8 packs a power curve shaped like a bodybuilder's bicep. The switch to a mid-engine configuration maximizes traction, allowing Chevy to better utilize its mega horsepower engines for battling everything on the exotic car spectrum. Of course, as a Corvette fan, we already know why it matters. So let's move on to the next one. Platform. A muscled up version of the base C8's architecture with wider rubber, stronger brakes, a recalibrated suspension tune, and upgraded powertrain cooling. Flared fenders cover the mechanical bits, and new for the Vet, active aerodynamics pin it to the track. Again, this is something we've talked about many times on this channel. The idea of active aero is definitely coming to the C8 at some point. Whether or not it will be for the C8 Z06, I'm not sure yet. But if this document proves to be anywhere near as accurate as the one for the base C8 was, then that's exactly what we're going to get, and we're getting it for the Z06. Next is power powertrain, and this is where things get really interesting. It says that a naturally aspirated dual overhead cam 32 valve 5.5 liter V8 with a flat plane crank is what we're gonna get. Now, we've talked about this before on the channel again, and a lot of people don't like what this flat plane crank means for the Z06. In a naturally aspirated form, it's likely to have less horsepower than the C7 Z06. A lot of people want to freak out over this, saying, no, there's no way GM would give us a new Corvette with less horsepower than the previous one. Well, I think that's what we're going to get here. There has been massive amounts of rumors saying we were getting naturally aspirated, no twin turbos, no supercharger. The Z06 was going back to its roots at naturally aspirated and hopefully low weight. But this goes on to say even more. It compares that flat plane crank engine to the way a Ferrari sounds. It should rev somewhere between 8,500 and 9,000 RPM, and it's going to spit out the 600 horsepower that we've talked about. Now, it does say in this case 600 plus, but for it to be a naturally aspirated flat plane crank engine, there's almost no way it's going to be much over 600. So that brings us back to our previous discussion about the fact that yes, it is going to be less than what the C7 Z06 was sitting at. Not that that's a huge deal, because number one, we're going to have the mid-engine setup. Number two, it's going to be a flat plane crank, so it's going to definitely handle the power differently than the C7 Z06 does anyway. Number three, it's possible to be at least as light, if not lighter, than the C7 Z06 based on what we talked about earlier with this car trying to go back to the roots of the C6 Z06. Number four, it is going to still have that dual clutch transmission, and it's rumored to be a newer one that is actually 8-speed dual clutch. They go on to say that it is no mere speculation because a detuned version of this engine is already powering the C8R race car. Now, that is true, but because of regulations, that C8R engine does not produce anywhere near the 600 horsepower that this one is supposed to have. They did kind of touch on that by saying it's a detuned version, but I am a little hesitant to believe that they're going to be able to squeeze this amount of power safely out of a flat plane crank engine. Time will tell, though. It goes on next to say that the competition is anything that looks and sounds like a mid-engine supercar. So basically, if the car is considered a supercar, this C8 Z06 is coming for you. Next is what might go wrong. It says there's a chance small block loyalists won't want a Corvette that sounds like a Ferrari. I really don't know that that's going to be an issue. I'm pretty sure every Corvette owner kind of likes the idea of a Ferrari, but at the same time, I can kind of understand, I guess, some people like that roar of the V8. This is going to definitely be a little bit different, but I suspect that once they hear it and drive it, it's going to change their minds. At the bottom, it goes on to say the estimated arrival and pricing is as early as 2021 as a 2022 model, and it's going to start around $85,000. Now, for those of you who've been watching the channel for a while, you're going to realize that's basically right around the price that I've been saying for a while. The C8 Z06, in my opinion, is likely to start at $89,900 before any options. If GM follows the same kind of pricing scheme that they have set up with the C7 Z06, there was about a $30,000 price difference between the base Stingray and the C7 Z06. So if they follow that same thing, we're looking at right around $89,900 for the new C8 Z06. Now, that's really all there is to this particular document. There's not a whole lot of new information here, but it is information that is supposedly pulled from some sort of inside source. So if it is, we are looking at the 2022 Corvette Z06, and this is going to be a lot of the information that's going to end up being 100% legit. A lot of the rumors I've seen in the past have also stated a 600 horsepower flat plane crank engine, so this all lines up with things I've read in the past, so very likely this is legit. The experiences I've had over the last couple weeks with the C8 base model Stingray have been very positive. I think what they're doing with the car is definitely moving in the right direction, and I am super unbelievably excited to see the Z06 because I know it's going to be an absolute monster. If the base model C8 is able to hit 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds, and some people have even tested it doing even faster at 2.7 seconds, that's freaking huge by itself. You add even more performance on top of that and the cooler look of the car with some added aero bits, this car is going to be a beast. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. So if you liked what you saw, give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about the C8 Z06 or even the C8 base model that I've done some research on, leave them in the comment section down below or shoot me an email. horse.power.obsessed@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer anything you may have for me. If you have not subscribed yet, please do. I'm gonna have loads of C8 and C7 content coming that you're definitely not gonna wanna miss. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next upload.